What is up, my Shadowverse soldiers, and welcome back to another Shadowverse Evolved video. Welcome back, Shadowverse soldiers. So we are here with the Set 5 Heavencraft reveals, and I'm very excited to talk about and see what these cards are able to do, because just like you, if you're watching this video, I don't know if you've kept up with the JP meta and what these cards do, but I surely don't know what these cards do, and let's go ahead and figure out what they are today. Alright, so the first card we're going to be looking at is Ancient Amplifier. So it's a 3-cost amulet, and when it comes into play, you put a mystic artifact to your field, and you can activate for 1 play point to engage this card and put it into your graveyard, and you can choose a token follower on your field, and it gets +2/+1. So this card is kind of giving me some Beast Call Arya vibes, because you pay 3 for it, and you're able to get at least a token onto the field. So let's see what this mystic artifact does. Alright, so then we have the Mystic Artifact. So it's a 3-cost 2/3. It's a ward, and when it comes into play, you draw a card. So if you play the Ancient Amplifier, you're already going to draw a card for paying 3, so that's nice. And then you can also use that 1 play point to engage it and make this a 4/4, which is pretty interesting. Moving on, we have the Ancient Protector, and it's another 3-cost amulet. So as long as this card is in the field, you are unable to lose the match. Enemies are unable to win the match, and when your leader's health becomes 0 or lower, put this card into the graveyard and change your leader's health to 1. So with the upcoming Glory Finder coming out, I believe this is going to be a very interesting card to at least have into your deck, just so you don't lose the game. You can survive on 1, but you have to remember that you're going up against 3 other people, and then if you're in another scenario with regular Shadowverse, then you do get to survive with 1 health, but if that's the first card that they hit you with, and they have more things that they can hit you with, that being Storm, then you're in for a very rough time. So this is a pretty interesting amulet, but I feel like it's going to have a lot of success in Glory Finder. And we're now looking at Apostle of Repose, so she's a 3-cost 2/4. I'm going to go ahead and apologize if the image doesn't look as sharp as it needs to be. These are the images I was able to find. I had to do some digging. But besides that, you can evolve her for 2, and at the start of the enemy phase, you recover 1 play point. A pretty neat card design. So essentially, you can play this card, and then as long as it makes it to the enemy's phase, at the start of it, it recovers 1 play point. So if you're in a situation where you need Angelic Barrage or maybe Angelic Snipe, or if you're in a situation where you're going down to 3 and you need that 1 play point back, well, you can get it up to 4, and now you can Acolyte's Light or Execution at any point in time. So let's go ahead and see what this Evo does. Looking at the Evo for Apostle, so at the start of your enemy phase, you recover 2 play points, and on Evolve, you choose a follower in the standing position from enemy field, and then you banish it. So essentially, from that, we can see that she's a free evolve because you recover those 2 play points on your enemy's phase. And then on evolve, you're able to just choose a follower to get rid of it and essentially banish it too. So that gets rid of those last words effects. So Leonidas, even though he's slowly falling out of the meta, this is one of those cards that you're just able to target and it doesn't get those last standing effects. Just as long as those characters are still upright and unengaged, then you're able to banish something. Alright, so we have Demon's Epitaph, so it's a 2-cost 2/3, you can evolve it by discarding a card, and then you evolve it. So this is something that Haven needed, was more cards, or just more followers, or anything in general to go ahead and get your hand size a little bit smaller, and then being able to rush into something while doing that as well. So there is a Uma follower that does it, but now we have another follower that does it as well. So let's see what this Evo does. So looking at the Demon's Evo, so it has Bane, and then last words, when it dies, you deal 2 damage to all enemy leaders. So yet again, another good card for Glory Finder, but in regular Shadowverse Evolve, I believe this card is pretty good too, because you discard a card, you're able to rush into something, and especially since it has Bane, it's going to trade, so that makes it even more better, and then when it dies, you deal 2 damage to all enemy leaders. So I feel like this is a pretty good card, and we don't just have that Uma follower that's able to discard an amulet and then, you know, get that +2 attack and then rush. We also have demons now, which will be pretty good. Alright, so we're looking at our first legendary for Heavencraft in set 5, so we have Deus Ex Machina. So she's a 5-cost 4/6, and at the start of your end phase, you choose one of the following. You either discard your hand and then draw 4 cards, or you recover 4 play points. I love cards that give you options like this. So let's say I play Deus Ex Machina, I have 2 cards in my hand. Well, you know, these 2 cards don't really matter unless I have like an Acolyte's Light for the second ability. But if I have 2 cards in my hand, I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of them, draw 4 new cards. Whatever the 2 cards in my hand weren't worth just sitting at like 2 the rest of the time. So drawing 4 cards is one of the other options, and then we have recover 4 play points, so it's kind of like, you know, like a little deja vu. So she costs 5, you regain 4, and then you have time to respond and quick timing for your other cards, so I like that. Moving on, we're looking at Disciple of Repose, so he's a 2-cost 2/2, and at the start of your enemy main phase, you choose a follower from the enemy field, and you deal 1 damage to it. So a pretty cute silver card. At every enemy's end phase, you're going to deal 1 damage to a follower. I wish it did it to every follower, that'd be pretty nice, but you can't get the best of both worlds there. But he's a 2 cost, you play him, and then once you get to your opponent's last phase, that being the end phase, you do 1 damage to it. So like I said again, these cards are really shaping out to be really good in Glory Finder because you're going to have 3 opponents. So at the end of your opponent's phase, you play this on 2. There's a follower that's at least taking 1 damage per turn, so that's pretty nice. Alright, looking at Hawk Robbie, she's a 3 cost 4/3 with some pretty cool art. So she has Ward, and when she comes into play, you discard an amulet from your hand, and you search for an amulet that originally cost 1 from your deck, and you put it to the field. So yet again, Heal Amulet has a way to get out more amulets from their deck. That's one thing I'd say about Shadowverse or any card game in general. If you've heard me say it before, I'm sorry for repeating myself, but deck thinning is deck winning. So if you get that 1 cost amulet, that's 1 less 1 cost amulet you're going to draw from your hand and use 1 play point for. We can just use Hawk Robbie, get rid of an amulet we're not using, maybe a high cost one, and then go ahead and get this 1 cost amulet out on the field and go ahead and get the engine going. And she has good stats as well. Alright, so looking at another legendary, we have Marwyn, Omen of Repost. So he's a 4 cost 4/4. You can evolve him for 4, or you can evolve him by skipping your next turn to evolve him. So let's see what his evolve does to make it seem if it's worth skipping your turn to evolve him. Alright, so we have the Marwyn Evolve. So he has Ward and Aura. He's an 8/8, so he pluses up pretty highly. He has Ward, Aura, and on Evolve, you increase your max play points by 1, and you add 3 to your leader's defense, and you draw a card. Alright, so this is an interesting card ability. So essentially you skip your next turn to evolve him for free, essentially. But he does have Ward and Aura, so your opponent has to get through an 8/8. But the one thing is, if you're going up against Abysscraft, you're definitely going to hate your life because Bane is definitely a thing. So if they use a Bane on this guy just with the quick and swiftness to get rid of him, then you're going to sit there and look at your opponent and be like, okay, well, I messed up. But if you're going up against decks that use spells, Heavencraft, I'm looking at you, if that use spells in terms to remove things, then this is definitely your go-to guy. I would definitely put him as a 1-of against Heavencraft just so I don't have to respect that deck. And skipping a turn, I mean, you know, do whatever you want. Fill up your cemetery all you want to. Just know that I'm going to leave this guy unengaged and I'm going to swing at you now. Alright, so next up we're looking at Realm of Repo. So it's a 1 cost amulet. You can choose to quick or you can activate it on your turn. You can engage this card and put it to the graveyard. And during this turn, when your leader takes 5 or more damage, it becomes 4 damage instead. My oh my, we finally have a response for Forte. So instead of taking 7, you can take 4. That's how I'm reading it. If I'm wrong, let me know down in the comments below, because with the swiftness, this is definitely getting a 2-of in my Heavencraft deck, because I'm tired of taking 7 from something I can't really, you know, just interact with. Of course, if I'm playing Heal Amulet, I can get the health back. That's, you know, that's not a problem for me. But just the interactable damage is really what's getting to me. But if you're able to just take 4 instead of 7, I'll take that any day of the week. Like, damage negation to the best of my ability. And let's not even talk about Genesis Dragon. Of course, you can interact with that card, but if you're going to be swinging for like more than like 10 damage or 9, then I'd definitely just take 4 over any day of that week. Alright, so now we have Servant of Repost. So it's a 2 cost 2/3, and at the start of your enemy's main phase, add 1 to your leader's health. Alright, looks like we're having a lot of effects where it's your opponent's turn and you can get some value out of that too. So I can see where you can use that legendary where it skips your turn. Well, if you get to your opponent's turn and you play these cards and they sit out on the field, if they don't get removed, you're getting a lot of pluses. So you skip your turn, you get 4 play points back, you can still interact. And then if you are a Servant of Repost and she's still on the field, then you get 2 health. That's pretty cool. Alright, next up, we're looking at Silver Cog Spinner. So she's a 4 cost 5/4. When she comes into play, if there are 5 or more cards in your hand, recover 2 play points. And then if there are 5 or less cards in your hand, you draw a card. Yet again, we're seeing these cards with multiple abilities. So if you have 5 or more cards in hand, get 2 play points. And then if you have 5 or less, draw cards. So just the situations where this might come in, I'm not sure. But if you're able to just play something free for your deck and your hand size is looking low, then you can draw a card, get a plus. It's just a double plus in every sort of way. And then she's a 4 cost 5/4. So that's some pretty good stats for a 4 cost. Alright, moving on, we have this Savior. So it's a 1 cost spell. Unfortunately, it's not a quick, that would be cool, but you can choose one of the following. You can search for Marwyn, Omen of the Repost from your deck and put it into your hand. Or you can choose a follower with 2 or less defense on the field and then banish it. So yet again, another way to go ahead and get rid of Leonidas, because on his effect, he's going to become a 2 cost, or 2 defense, excuse me, and you can go ahead and banish him with that ability, or if you want to go ahead and start up a Marwyn if you're in your early turns, and get a good setup there, then you can definitely pay Marwyn, evolve him for free, have all those girls on the field, and when you skip your next turn, if they don't get removed, then you're plussing a lot there. So going ahead and getting a legendary out of your deck isn't bad. So this is a pretty good spell card. Next up, we have Unidentified Subject. So it's a 5 cost 3/7 with some weird stats. So you can evolve it for 2, and other than at the start of your main phase, when you draw a card, this gets +1/+1. Yeah, I'm sorry if I worded that weird, but it's just on the start of your main phase, you draw a card, of course. But if you draw a card outside of that, it's always going to get a plus. So let's say I use the Spin Cog Spinner to draw a card since I don't have that many cards in my hand. It's going to become a 4/8. So it's going to have a big defense line in terms of defense. I wonder if it has ward on the Evo. So let's figure out what the Evo does. So we have the Unidentified Subject Evo. So other than on your start phase, if you draw a card, you get a +1/+1. But on Evolve, you draw 2 cards. Alright, so if you evolve the subject, you're essentially going to draw 2 cards, so it's become a 5/9, which is a pretty good stat line. I just wish it had ward. But if you're able to give this card ward and aura, that'd be completely nice because it's going to be so big. But having a 5/9 isn't bad. You can swing into something, go ahead and trade, and drawing 2 cards from replacing the 1 card is also nice as well. Alright, we're here looking at Marwyn. He looks pretty cool. And this is the ultra rare. So I know in the past someone asked in the last reveals, you know, looking at the ultra rares would be cool in this video. So I bring it to you guys. I'm now going to be posting the ultra rares at the end of every set reveal video. So look forward to that. But alrighty guys, that is the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. You don't know how much it means to me that you are here watching the set reveals with me. And tomorrow we're going to go through the list. Whatever the post polls were in the last one, I think Dragoncraft's next. So tomorrow we're going to be doing Dragoncraft. So look forward to you guys being with you there and talking about Dragoncraft tomorrow. Alright guys, make sure you're safe in whatever you do tonight and safe whatever you do for the rest of the year. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.